Hey again, everybody. We're back for our World's Strongest Quiz Show again. I'm Bill with Strongman Archives, and today I am joined for the first time by an American athlete for some trivia, the excellent Travis Ortmayer. Travis, thank you so much for being here, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's an honor to be the first American chosen.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it as well.
All right.
So I'm going to give you a little background here. I'm going to get started with a pair of questions about events that are memorable for me personally, because they're about events that I attended in person as a fan, and they were my first exposure to Travis Ortmayer, the strongman. So you're the second guest that I've had on World's Strongest Quiz Show who was a rookie in the 2008 World's Strongest Man in West Virginia. Big Laws also debuted that year.
Yeah.
So back then, we didn't have live streams available for anything. So, as a fan, there was no way of knowing anything about new faces at World's Strongest Man ahead of time. So I bring this up because I just have to share the fact that my biggest memory from that World's Strongest Man was, who is this Travis Ortmayer kid? This is his first year. He's already an absolute beast. I was just blown away. And one of your event performances in particular from that competition still stands out in my memory as one of the most impressive, explosive strongman feats I've seen in almost 25 years of going to live shows. And the first question is about that event.
All right.
So in your World's Strongest Man debut, you took first in two of the events in your heat. In one of those events, you were not just first, but you crushed the numbers of everybody across all the heats. Can you remember which event that was?
Yeah, that was a keg toss.
That is absolutely correct.
There
were only 6 guys who finished all 8 kegs, and you were 25% faster than the next fastest guy.
The best time of the day was like 28 and a half seconds by Tarmo Mid. I came out and did it in like 21.
Wow, that is some extra credit right there. That is exactly accurate. Yes.
Well, if you watch people do the keg toss now, they've all stolen that technique. I was the first guy to do that quick grab, hop, load, fire, just kind of almost where the kegs were. And now you see everybody who smokes the kegs does that same technique.
Exactly. And that's why it was so memorable for me, because I'd never seen that before. And I remember standing there with my wife and we watched some of the other guys go first in the event. And then you came up and we were like, how the hell was that possible? So you just blew us away on that one. So as related to that, as a World's Strongest Man rookie, how did it feel getting off to a tremendous start like that after the first few events?
Oh man, that stands out as one of my favorite competitions. The qualifiers, I was just on fire. It's one of those things where you feel light as you walk through, as you walk around through your day. I don't know, my adrenaline was up, my enthusiasm was up. I was having such a good time, and then I was just, I felt really strong. I was in really good shape in 2008, especially for that competition, because I think I'd only done, I did several contests that year, but I think I was feeling really good that year because I had a really rough year the year prior. 2007, I injured my back at the Arnold, like herniated a disc or something. And 3 weeks later, I really broke something in my back because I was trying to train too soon. And I caught an axle clean wrong. And, I dumped the bar. But as soon as I let the weight off, this fire surged around both hips and down both legs. Oh. I spent that whole year competing with so much pain. It just was miserable. So I gave myself some time off at the beginning of 2008. I think I prepped slowly for the Fit Expo, and then I only did maybe a total of 5 or 6 contests before Worlds that year, whereas I had done, 18 several times before that.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so around that same era, second question, as I said, is another one that was within driving distance for me some years back.
All right.
What was the name of the Connecticut casino that hosted a 2009 Giants Live event in which you finished on the podium between Poundstone and Shaw?
Yeah, that was Mohegan Sun.
That is right. 2 for 2.
Yeah. That was, fun story about that. That was my 5th contest in a row. I had just done one overseas, 2 overseas, did one in America, and I started that run with a contest overseas. So I went overseas, came back, did 2 in a row overseas. And I remember on my way home, I was in an airport. I couldn't remember which country it was. I was like, where the hell am I right now? So I listened around. I'm like, well, there's French. These guys are speaking German. I swear that's Italian. And I'm guessing
Switzerland.
These guys are English. Oh, are you hearing that?
Yeah, I got like a drill or something there.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
All right. Looks like it's cleared up. No worries.
So anyway, yeah, I hear all these different languages around, and I'm like, what the hell? Where am I? And then it finally dawns on me, like, I'm hearing all these languages because I'm in Switzerland. This is my first time in Switzerland. I didn't know the airport. I was like, God dang, okay, I need a freaking break. But I had one more show to do. It was Mohegan Sun, and I certainly wasn't going to let Derek win it that easily.
Yeah, you definitely didn't seem tired.
Well, yeah. Good at faking, I guess. Yeah. Derek won every event except Stones. I beat him on Stones. I took the win there, but he was on fire that night. It was one of his best performances.
I think we're off to a good start here, and we've got some signs that you've got a very clear memory of these things. So I think we're going to have a good score. So next couple of questions, we're going back a little further in time now to what were the first 2 international shows that I could find for you back in 2005 when you were just 24. First of those is the 2005 IFSA Pan American Championships in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm not sure if that was definitely your first international show, but it's the first one we found.
Yeah, I think it was.
You finished an impressive second in that show behind Phil Pfister. Can you recall the one event that you won?
Oh, yeah, Atlas Stones.
Yes, and do you remember how close it was between you and Phil and the Stones?
Oh, that I don't know. All I know is I set a new world record and I ruined his perfect day.
Yeah, well, you're getting credit for that one anyway. I just figured I'd ask since you knew Tarmo Mitt's time on the keg toss. That other question, you were like 0.8 seconds ahead of Phil for the win on the Atlas Stones in that one.
That's right. It was because I remember that being like payback. My very first pro-am. It was the first time they had ever done a pro-am. Pfister beat my time by like 0.8 or 0.9 seconds. And I thought it was bullshit, but I knew they weren't going to let an amateur win. And funny side note, he jumps on the mic and goes, "Where's that amateur, that Trevor kid? Hey, Trevor." I thought from then on, I'm going to destroy this man.
That's the attitude.
Yeah, I remember that. It was really close, but I remember I got the victory there.
So about a month after that, you did the 2005 IFSA World Championships in Quebec, which was an intimidatingly stacked lineup with no fewer than 5 men who had won or would go on shortly to win World's Strongest Man. Yeah. Your first event there, you were head-to-head in the yoke against one of those 5. Who was that?
Yeah, Jonas Savitskas.
Correct.
Yeah, he hammered me. He set a new world record with like 15 seconds, and I did like 49.
Yeah, I just watched a video of that doing research for this, and he just took off with that.
Yeah, 30 meters with 900 at the time was, 410 kilo yoke was a big deal at that point. He made it look easy, and I made it look like what it was, which was freaking heavy.
Yeah. You happen to remember the other current and former World's Strongest Man champs that were at that show?
I know Vasil Virastuk was there. Go down the lineup. Because Misha Kuklayev ended up 3rd. Let's see. Andras Muramets, Raymond Bergmanis, Robert Shapansky. Who else was there that was... Oh, Sven
Yeah,
Carlson
that's
did.
right. Yeah, Sven Carlson was there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he took second at the World Open. Misha beat him out on the last event. So Sven Carlson was there. Magnus Samuelsson was there. That's when I took the
Correct.
title of King of Stones from him. That's
Yeah, yeah.
right. Yeah.
One more World's Strongest Man champ was there, who we just discussed previously
We had just, oh, shoot.
in the previous question from that contest in Brazil.
Oh, yeah, Pfister.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. A lot of titles among that group.
I remember he was sixth that year. And then he saw World's Strongest Man and how at that time the depth was limited. It had Marius, and then Jesse Marundi was second at Worlds that year. And I had beaten Jesse Marundi all year long. And he took second at World's Strongest Man, and I barely got 10th at IFSA. It was total different.
Oh, yeah. During the split there for the few years, yeah. Those World's Strongest Mans just were not the same.
Well, a lot of those guys went on to be really tough. Most notably, really, it was like Terry Hollins, went on to be really freaking tough. But he was brand new, rookie at that time. So, yeah, he just, they weren't at that level of the Raymonsburg Manis and the Zadrunas Savitskas and the Seal Virastos at the time.
Yeah.
It was different, man.
All right, so we're 4 for 4 on to question 5. Just like the last one, on the topic of ridiculously stacked lineups, let's talk about 2009 World's Strongest Man, because that was a legendary lineup. You finished 5th behind the podium of guys who all had at least 4 World's Strongest Man victories: Big Z, Marius, Brian Shaw.
Yep. Who
was the only non-World's Strongest Man winner, non-4-time winner that beat you in that year?
Oh, Poundstone was 4th.
Correct. Do you remember by how much?
I think at the very end, he ended up only 2 or 3 points ahead of me, something like that.
Half a point, in fact.
Is it half a point? I knew it was something ridiculous.
Yeah,
I've been so close to 4th place so many times at Worlds. Ended up 5th 3 damn times in a row.
So Brian and Zadrunas didn't have all their titles yet in 2009, but even so, at the time, did you feel like that show was just on another plane talent-wise? Like, could you tell how ultra-competitive that era was going to be?
Absolutely. First, you had Marius, who had won 5, and then you had Zadrunas, who technically hadn't won World's Strongest Man, but he was a 2-time IFSA world champion.
Sure, absolutely.
And at that point, like a 6-time
Arnold's, yeah.
He was already at that point probably the best strongman ever, rivaling Marius. And as he went on to win more titles, he became, in my opinion, a better strongman than Marius was. Just held on longer, has more titles. You can't really argue it.
No argument for me, certainly.
Yeah. And then Poundstone was, kind of at his peak at that point. And, Brian Shaw was just beginning his meteoric rise. He was strong as crap. I remember first going against him in like 2007, and I beat him. That was right after I had broken my back. I beat him, and I saw him a couple more times that year, and he just continued to improve. 2008, he got better. Then 2009, I competed with him at the Fit Expo, and he won that show. Mm-hmm. And I just saw the difference from 2008 to 2009. I knew he was going to be strong. And turns out, he kept going up. 2009 at World's Strongest Man, he was, 3rd place, and it was only his 2nd time there. And,
I think it was 2009. I saw him. There was a little national show that was done at the minor league baseball stadium in Trenton, like 5 minutes from my house. So I was like, I can't miss this. I went over there. It was Brian and Nick Best and a few other guys, and he just made everybody look like absolute nothing in comparison to him. And that was the first time I think I'd seen a guy that was like 6'9" pull 1,000 pounds on a deadlift, and I was like, that's not something that was happening back then,
Yeah, he broke the stereotype of what was ideal for a strongman. He filled out that 6'8", 6'9" frame and just turned all of it into power and used that extra body weight to his advantage.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive, to be honest.
Well, while we're talking about American Strongman, here's one to test your memory about your trophy shelf. What year did you win America's Strongest Man?
This is kind of contested.
Okay.
2011, I think is when I get credit for. 2010, they changed America's Strongest Man and then called it U.S. Nationals.
Okay.
Like just before the show was going to go, because I think the Olympia then wanted the name America's Strongest Man. So Dion changed it at the last freaking second. But I won what was supposed to be 2010's America's Strongest Man. And then I think I finally got credit in 2011. So there's a little extra credit bonus on that answer.
We got lots of bonus answers from you today. You're doing great. All right. Number 7, you appeared 5 times at the Arnold Strongman Classic, and in all 5, you went up against your friend and rival, Mikhail Kuklayev.
Yeah.
Just the placings between you and Misha specifically, who came out on top more often at the Arnolds, you or him?
I'm going to say he did. Because I was 3rd twice, but he was 2nd in one of those years. He was 4th, I believe, in one of those years. And then I was 4th, and I think he was 5th. But I think those were the only 2 years that I beat him, because the other ones I took like 10th from that first one when I got injured, and I was 9th, beating only Hafthor Bjornsson at the 2012 Arnold. So yeah, I think it's 3-2. Misha.
Correct. Exactly correct. 3-2, Misha. So I've seen some interviews indicating that you and he were very close at the time. Was he your favorite athlete to compete with?
Yeah. You know what? He and Derek always brought out the best in me, you know, being competitive. But he was always just so much fun to be around. You know, he's probably the most disgustingly talented individual I've ever met in my entire life. You know, he could sing, he can dance, he can play the accordion, play a piano, and then just kind of pick up the rhythm of some song and start playing it. You know, in addition to being strong as hell and very coordinated, like a real athlete. And then you put all that together and you got a guy who could tell a Russian joke in English and make you laugh. And I'm going to tell you, Russian jokes are not funny, but he could make you laugh.
How is he at trivia? Is that another strong point? Can we get him on here?
That's a good question. He's been away from the sport a while, so maybe he's not been thinking about it. I would test him. I would try and test him. He'd be fun to have on anyway.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like that. So you've done a lot of Strongman Champions League events over the years, 19 of them that I'm aware of.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Okay. In which country were you competing when you first won an SCL show?
So I'm not exactly sure when they classified it SCL or when it was still with IFSA.
Okay. Here's a hint. The one that we have is officially classified as SCL. Misha finished 2nd at that show, if that helps.
Finished 2nd. Gonna have to say it is Holland.
Correct. 2010. Yep. 2010 Holland and Ulft.
That's the one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Very good. Sticking with SCL, your first international contest when you made your comeback, or at least one of your first, was an SCL show in Serbia 3 years ago.
Yeah. 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You're right. Correct.
I think 2018.
It was 2018.
You put on a great performance. You're just 2 points out of first. Can you remember who took the win in that show?
Yeah, Belshak.
Correct.
Yeah, he was tough, and that's when I beat Ivars. I think Ivars was a little stunned. He's like, who the hell is this guy coming back?
All right, we're 9 for 9. We're going on to the last question, and we can go out on a high note here. This is a one about the 2008 Super Series event that you won in Madison Square Garden. I'm sure you remember that well.
Yeah.
You beat quite a few legends that day. There was Poundstone, Shaw, Samuelson, Hollins, to name a few. Yeah. There were 2 different moving medley events in that. One of them you won, and one of them you finished less than a second away from winning.
2nd place, yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember the 4 implements that were used in those 2 medleys?
The first medley was a tire flip farmer's walk.
Correct.
I think it was a 900 or 800-pound tire with a 385 per hand farmer's walk. It was an absolute drag race.
I'll have to check that, but I'm sure you're right with how right you've been about everything so far.
And the second one was right after they cut the field from 12 athletes to 6 athletes.
Yep.
So they started moving really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I had just literally finished throwing up in the trash can because of the clean and press with the axle. I just finished puking. They're like, Ortmayer, you're up. Oh, shit. I put my belt on. I get under the yoke. I go as fast as I can. Then there was a duck walk. It was a yoke duck walk.
Correct.
And,
That's a perfect score, Travis.
Derek had me by inches on that one.
That was a weird looking yoke. It was like a big upside down magnet.
Well, it was supposed to be the St. Louis Arches. They were made in St. Louis, and they had the little windows on the top, and it was part of a St. Louis.
I missed that, and I certainly wouldn't have assumed the connection there, Madison Square Garden with St. Louis.
But yeah, for some reason, Derek or Super Series ended up with a bunch of that equipment, and that's why we ended up using it. I know the axle, the farmers. All that stuff was Derek's equipment. I'm not sure if those yokes were his or if that was Super Series.
Well, I'm happy to report that you're our first perfect score here on World's Strongest Quiz Show. 10 out of 10. Great memory,
Steel
my friend.
trap, baby. Steel trap.
So I just want to thank you again for doing this with me. This has been a great time. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had a great time. Hell, anytime I can come out with a win, I'm loving it.
All right. Well, thanks again, Travis. And it was great talking to you.
Hey, good. Thanks for having me, man. It was a good time.